All right. I like to make sure it loads properly so we could be good here. Make sure it's showing is unlisted. Okay, beautiful. All righty. Hello, jurors, and welcome to the Distortion Survivor Season 14 Before and Beyond Jury Roundtable. So you guys are all here this evening because you guys are going to come together and discuss the games of our two finalists, Jesse and Bryant. And with us here today to help lead those conversations on, we do have our 12th placer from Distortion Survivor Season 13, V. So, V, if you want to give a little introduction to, because there's probably some people here who don't know you or people who may do if you want to.
Well, hello everyone. As your self-appointed mayor, because I really just stole the title from Colin last season, I know how it is perfectly to cast a vote. Also, definitely not because I always usually end up in jury anyways. And I feel like the season didn't have enough season 13 representation, so I thought it was perfect for me to, come in now, add on to that. Um, and it also helps that last season is very similar to this one. It had returnees. This seemed to have returnees. How did that play an impact? It did it not. So I cannot wait to discuss this with you guys, see where your head is at, discuss the finalists, and hopefully this help you guys decide which person will represent your season moving forward.
All right, thank you, V. So before we kick off everything, I do want to go over a couple things or a couple rules for this round table. First things first, roundtables, they can have their tendency to get a little heated because you guys are all still soaking in the moment of the game. Please be respectful when speaking to each other, and please be respectful when talking about Jesse and Bryant. You can criticize their games, but please keep it on a game level. Do not let it get to a personal level whatsoever. And also, like what Benji said, to echo again, Jesse and Bryant are going to be receiving this link and have access to this postseason. So if you feel like you want to say something and it's something you do not want it out there, please keep it to yourself and just be very mindful of the things that you say. And the next thing I want to say is please be respectful to V, who is our guest for tonight. V, it's pretty late for him right now, and he is taking time out of his night to be here with you guys and to moderate this roundtable. Please let V lead on the conversations that need to be led on. Do not take over for him. And also the biggest thing, because this happened a lot last season, and Benji, you'll remember this because I'm pretty sure you cut in. Please do not
Mhm.
interrupt if V is talking, because that did happen a lot last season, and it was pretty annoying. Not gonna lie.
The the ironic thing is I was probably at fault last season too.
So that is all I have to say with that. Just the couple things there. But yeah, you guys have fun discussing. And V, the floor is yours.
Alrighty. Well, once again, thank you for having me. And I would like to begin with something which isn't the basic physical, social, strategic, and has to do with the theme of the season. It was a blood versus water season. You guys play with pairs. Not just that, returnees were involved. Half of you, if not more, sitting in front of you, have played the season either with me last season, or before that, and that obviously has an impact on the season. So my first question, it's kind of more aimed towards Minor Laura X, Benji, the people who have played before. Having played before, how does that impact your view on the games of the final two?
Mhm. I feel like with having played before and coming in, and also being on production prior to coming back into the ring, I feel like my perspective on what I feel is a well-rounded game is still the same, but being able to be as open with a wide perspective of what I do feel I do and don't know I'm equally open to receiving both here and tomorrow. My vote is still open, like I said when I left, and it's going to come down to who sells their game the best, what is the most truthful to the game, but also who is the best representative for our season from the final two that have fought and clawed their way to get here.
Yeah, I would say the same with like Benji, like someone that was well-rounded, um, that's physical, social, and strategy. Um, I know coming into this season, I just want the winner to like played the game, played hard, and did not just like coast. Like um, deep down, I just like Survivor and the strategy moves. So like if they explain their moves and say like, "Oh, you didn't know this," or like surprise me, like I love that. So if they could do that, that'd be amazing.
I'll go next. I'm gonna do the same thing I did last season. I'm gonna go into Final Tribal Council wanting to see someone give it their all and fight for it. I went into last season thinking I was gonna vote for Kathy, and Issa ended up surprising me with their entire speech. They fought for it. They gave great answers. So I think I'm gonna go in hoping I see someone else do the same thing. I have reasons to vote both of them. I think they both have positives and negatives to their game, and I just want to see who can own it, who can also be honest, and who was self-aware of stuff that was happening. If they had their back against the wall, how did you deflect that? How did you change that? Did you put the effort, time, and energy to not just play the game, but did you put the effort to get to know the people that were playing it? Like, I would like to see all of that. I want to see a well-rounded player, but I want to see someone that also enjoyed the experience and the people along the way.
I can second a lot of that. I want to see somebody who can explain their game really well and like own what they're doing, have a good explanation. Because like we only see things from our perspective while we're actually playing the game. I want to hear what they did from their perspective.
Mhm.
Um, because like X said, like I was gonna vote for Kathy straight up last season, but Issa came out guns blazing and sh won me over. So the same thing could happen. I've got mixed feelings about both of the final two, honestly. So anything can happen.
Well, to also bounce the question to Sean and Evan, we had pairs this season. You guys applied as duos with a partner. How does that impact this season? How did the final two play around that? Were they able to, use a partner? Did that partner go early? Did that impact the game? How do you think that impacted their game? Obviously, everyone else can answer that, but I want to give that to Sean and Evan first since they didn't have the opportunity of it all.
It impacted my game. I don't know if I'm talking just about the final two, but it impacted my game a lot because once Evan and I were first that first swap, we were on a tribe together. We were the only ones that were on a tribe together. And Evan helped me ingratiate into that original Civia, the hot girl Chris Bryant side of everything. And that's how I became so close with Bryant. I wouldn't have been able to build that. I mean, maybe I could have built it over a longer period of time, but it happened much quicker because of Evan and I's partnership and Evan having a pre-existing relationship with both of them. And then as far as like how it's affected the final two, I think that it Tawny went out early for Bryant, but it seemed like they talked a lot when they were able to when the duo chats would open every night. Brian would always come to me and be like, "Well, Tawny told me this, Tawny told me that," and I was like, "Oh, interesting." But Jesse and Mike obviously made it to Final Four together, and they had played off the idea that they didn't get along, or at least Jesse really pushed that narrative. I'm not sure how Mike stands on that. I kind of was curious to pick his brain about that. But I think for Jesse and Mike, it ended up helping both of them significantly having each other in and everyone thinking they didn't like each other.
I was also told by Jessie, when I was on her tribe that she did not have a good relationship with Mike, and I feel like that affected who I was voting when I got back swapped to that Louis tribe. Because I was more so thinking about the people that might be threats at merge if they get there with their duo. And in my mind, Jessie was setting up that she wasn't close to her duo, so I would like to know how involved she was with Mike throughout the whole game and like if she was exaggerating or being straight up. Um, but yeah.
If anyone else wants to go in as well, you're very welcome to.
And sorry, just to reconfirm, this is just as far as like how the pairs were navigated this season.
How were the pairs affecting the game specifically for the final two? Not even just their pair, but as Sean also kind of said, like if you had your partner, how did they play into that? Things like that.
I feel like the partner twist is probably heavier earlier on than it was later, because by then everyone had been swapped a good 2 or 3 times. Everyone had been truly, really integrated. To by the time you get to merge, your game was your own. I definitely felt like my original fear of coming in and being a pair, one of the few pairs that were at the end, didn't really matter as much because it truly felt like everyone was fluid to the touch of like anyone could go at any time, regardless of what your relationships, what your alliances were. All it just truly depended what people wanted for them at that moment. As far as the final two, from what I was being given as far as like a Jesse and Mike V dynamic, Mike had really said that they didn't really talk as much, that they were he gave her space and likewise in regard to who they voted for, they didn't have to vote with each other every single time. So I am really interested to see what Jesse's voting dynamic was coming into this, considering her and her partner were already detached from what it sounded like.
Yeah, I would say I agree with the pairs having effect more on the pre-merge. Because for me, I tried to when we swapped, I tend to listen to Kendra, who they were working with, and to decide if I can work with that person if I swap with their people. Um, like that's why, like with Brian, I was able to get with Tawny, vice versa. Um, I tried to build a relationship with Sean because Kendra really liked them. So it did influence like the merge. It went the way it went, but heading to the merge, it was like trying to double think with your pair.
Um, I would like to add just a few things. I lost my partner like extremely early, as in first, so I had a unique experience with pairs this season. Um, I experienced two sides of a coin. On one coin, it was interesting talking to individuals on my OG tribe and kind of being like getting information from their partner to me. Um, I felt like a lot of peers, especially early on, like a few people have mentioned now, were trying to build themselves up both on their tribe and on the other tribe and kind of navigate that. I think, though, the multiple swaps made the game super interesting because I think going into a merge situation, I think pairs did play a role into, hey, I don't want to go into a merge with there being 3 or 4 pairs. They could just group up. A heavy reason why I wanted Evan gone was because I didn't want there to be 3 duos in merge. Jordan especially was talking about working with them, pulling having a Benji and him work with a Sean and Evan and a Jesse Mike. That didn't feel good to me. I don't want there being 6 people, a majority of the tribe having the power to work together. Um, but on the flip side, I think it's interesting because as much as pairs were a role this season, I really don't think it mattered in merge. I think we were so fucked up and so swapped over that everyone was like, "Fuck it, I don't care who's with who. I need to get numbers and I need allies. I'll figure the rest of it out later." I think the only people it mattered for maybe was Mike and Jesse because they did make top 4 together. But I think there was always a crack, and I think Jesse especially had bonds with better people. I think Sean and Jesse was a big thing, something I knew about early on. And I think that showcases that though they mattered as maybe having an extra vote with you for a hot minute, I don't think it mattered in the end at all.
Laura, do you want to have add something, or can we go for it?
No, I think they pretty much covered everything that I was thinking about.
Wait, I won't.
Alrighty.
Can I add one? Sorry,
No, go ahead, of course.
I interrupted you.
No, no, you're
Um,
completely fine.
okay. I agree with what everyone is saying that it wasn't that crucial in the merge with like the whole pairs thing. I also think that had to do with the pairs that were left. Like, I don't think Benji and Jordan were necessarily that close. And I don't think Mike and Jesse really were either. But I will say Jesse was a crucial part of getting like me, her, and Bryant into a powerful position because she had pull on Mike. I know that they didn't have they were saying we're not close, but Mike literally was talking more so to me and Bryant versus a lot of others, and that's because of Jesse. Jesse was getting a lot of information from Mike and bringing it to us. Like I knew Mike had an idol the round that he found it. So, and that was a secret for a while because he had only told Jesse, but she had told me. So it was very she like it did have some type of effect. I would say it wasn't like zero, but it wasn't like 100.
Alrighty, interesting. Now we've kind of gone over, the themes of the season and in a way the twist of the season. I would talk about the voting pre-merge, but I feel like that's too disattached. Let's go over maybe the least affected of the three, core elements of Survivor, social, physical, and strategic. Let's begin with the physical game. Who outdid the other there? In what way?
Bryant down. Bryant down. Bryant
Right.
killed those even well toward the end specifically. I mean, regardless of whether he really quote unquote needed to or not, Bryant secured his safety nearly every fucking time that he could. If not, might I also mention right before I think merge it was aside from the one time that Bryant was vulnerable during pre-merge and we were both forced to go to tribal. Bryant did not see tribal council near the entirety of that pre-merge. That's nothing to scoff at, which also allowed him time to set up for merge, which allowed him to kind of like settle into who he felt he could trust, maybe gaining something here or there. Like that is very impressive.
I think Brian played a really dominant physical game from what I witnessed in the pre-merge. I think that he was a big contributor to like his team winning challenges, and that's why he didn't go to tribal very much. One thing that stuck out to me for Bryant was on the puzzle competition that ended up getting canceled, he volunteered to be the first person to go and share his screen, and he ended up getting an advantage for that. And also, he gained respect in my books because nobody on our tribe was stepping up to do the challenge. And he kind of like took it on, and it ended up working out for us. We got an ally and idol, so, or not an idol, an extra vote. So, but, and then in jury stage, I mean, I don't know how many did he win? Four, three?
I I think four?
Including a veto, he won
Question
four,
mark?
I
Yeah.
think.
T. Okay.
Well, that's my comment.
Yeah, Brian was a main like when we won that joint immunity, it was low-key because of Bryant. He carried us in that last trivia round. He was so knowledgeable. His memory skills were on point. He was good at that endurance challenge. Um, Granted, I wasn't great at challenges, and she wasn't bad. Like she would kind of undersell herself on challenges. Jessie was getting like middle of the road a lot of the time, and then got second a couple of times as well.
Maybe another added question. How important were the wins? Like, were they wins that they needed? Were they wins that they got because others just underperformed?
Hmm.
Well, I think three, of course. um, Four, I could see mattered. Five mattered because he beat me because it was between me and him, and then I was the main target. Um, I think those 3 rounds, he didn't need the veto. Um,
Also, before someone else joined, hi Jordan. Quick recap of everything we've talked about. We kind of mentioned the twists of the pairs. We kind of talked about the returnees of it all, and now we're talking about the challenge portion of the game and physical of that stuff. We're talking about Brian and Jesse in that way. So if you have a comment about that, please go ahead.
Let me mull over on that. I just got here.
Don't worry. If anyone else wants to.
I would like to comment a little bit. I think it's interesting because both Bryant and Jesse won during live night, and the comment was made that Bryant didn't need the veto, but if Jesse didn't win that HOH and kind of was able to protect their core three in addition to other people, Bryant might have needed that veto. Bryant, depending on who got HOH, Bryant could have needed that veto. So I think it's a positive and a negative that Jesse did protect her group, but Bryant might have been safe irregardless of that night and got through it. But if he still lost a number, he can't compete in Final Seven immunity. It leaves a lot to the game. So it's a real flip of a coin on that one. I think it's impressive, but he might have needed it. Like didn't the HOH come down to a tiebreaker? Like it could have gone anywhere.
Both the
Yeah.
HOH and the veto were tiebreakers. That
That
was
So
a big
Laura
part of
unfortunately
both.
lost.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
talk about the HOH tiebreaker.
Yeah, for that, yes. If me or Laura won, Brian was gonna go on the block. So if
Hmm.
we won, he needed that veto. But since Jesse won, he didn't need it to secure his safety for final.
Yeah, I think I said on a jury call the other night, if I would have won, I probably would have put up Sean and Bryant. So,
How dare you? Um, I will say, I think when he and I won that trivia, the chase challenge, I think he probably did need that because it protected 2 out of 3 of this trio, and we were able to blindside Benji without fear of it falling back on us. So that was a clutch win for him. Also, I don't know if I'd say blindside. I don't know how you felt about that, Benji, but Benji's vote out.
Any more additions? I'm seeing no reactions. Well, I feel like we can maybe segue then into the social part of the game. How was Brian's social game? How was Jesse's social game? How did they use you guys in the jury to their benefit, or the pre-jurors to their benefit? Whoever wants to go first. Is this feeling like me teaching,
No,
guys?
I'll start. I'll start because I spent the least amount of time with both of them than I think a lot of people did. So I will start. Bryant, I literally was on an OG tribe with, never attended a tribal with him. It was awkward though because I wanted his partner gone. I didn't trust his partner. We had beef, so there was always a wall between us. I think we were able to talk on a personal level, but game wise, fucking nothing. Merge hit and the wall was still up. We tried. I thought what was really interesting about Bryant was Bryant almost always wanted to be given things but didn't want to give back. I think that was kind of an issue. And to hear other jury members come in and still say that themselves, it was kind of like he didn't switch up socially. Like he almost was guarded with people. And I think that's interesting because let's look at it from a perspective of he needed people. Like he had all this safety in the world from pre-merge immunity wins and even winning after I left, and he still almost left, needed an advantage. He needed to win an immunity right after that and respect clutch immunity win. He had an ally win a live night HOH. He still won through safety through there. I just think it's interesting that some of the perspective that he had in that he caused himself. I think he didn't open himself up a lot. I think honestly, from my perspective, it seemed like Sean and Jesse did more socially than he did at times. Like I felt comfortable with Jesse and Sean to a point where I was like, I'm open to trusting Bryant. We'll see where the game goes. I think Jesse talked slightly more than Mike, which wasn't hard to do. But I do think if you got Jesse on call, you could get her to actually talk and game with you. And I think she would. I think that was her saving grace is that she did go on calls and that she was gaming. And I think that she surrounded herself with two allies that were constantly bigger threats than her. I think for even after I left, I think Bryant and Sean were going to be targeted. And the fact she got out of a vote where they were both safe, I am impressed by. I'm not gonna lie. I assumed I was gonna see Jesse. I was like, oh well, Jesse's fucking cooked. And not only was she not cooked, she got no votes and was in the majority of the votes. So I think that is impressive.
Yeah, I'll second that with Bryant. Um, that he would ask questions, you answer, and then he'll cut off the conversation. And then when I would ask a question, he will be like, "All I do is answer questions for people. Like I hate doing this." So, and then he will cut it off. But so he was kind of like a hypocrite because he would just want stuff and then not give anything and be upset that no one wanted to talk to him. And then so there's that. And then going around after every vote, going around like, "Oh, I know we voted differently, but I'm always my door is always open." But
Mhm.
that door was always closed. He would just say that every single round.
I had a different social relationship with Bryant in that we connected from day one, and I didn't get that same experience of like him only asking me for information and not giving anything out. I feel like it was kind of like a mutual thing that we were building with each other. Like I would give one thing, he would give. He honestly gave more to me than I gave to him. I mean, I wasn't giving much to anybody. But he also was very like if we compared notes on like who we thought we could trust or not trust in this game, he was the one that wanted to get like an alliance or a chat started. Like he um I'll say when we merged, when I was on the swap tribe with Sean, and it was like three of us on the OG tribe of mine and five of them. I had a really good working relationship with Bryant, and obviously I'm paired up with Sean, and Sean had a really good working relationship with Jesse. But Bryant, I believe, was the one that pitched our Jeb's alliance that without me ended up going all the way to final three. And Bryant also kind of facilitated an alliance with me, Sean, Bryant, and Hot Girl Chris to cover those bases too. I don't exactly remember who it was, but I'm pretty sure that Bryant was like integral in creating both of those groups. Like he was the one that said out loud, like, I need to make these groups. Like I don't know if he had more trust in those people, so he wasn't giving other people as much, and that does play as a deficit to his game. But from my experience, I thought he was a good social player.
Mm. I will say on my end in the on our OG tribe, Brian is how I figured out that our original idol was gone. He told me that he had gone down the path, there was nothing there, told me what the exact message was, and I followed down that path that night, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what he told me. Um, the one thing that I read as a negative for Bryant would be jury management in the social aspect. I know for me, the day that I left, he had told me I was talking to people trying to like get the vote anywhere besides me. And about an hour before I left, he had messaged me like, "Yeah, I'll vote for Mike. I'm all in." But like he was already gonna vote me out. Everyone was already gonna vote me out. So like I don't understand what the logic is in just lying to my face when I didn't have an idol. There was no I didn't have anything from the auction. I didn't have any kind of advantage that I theoretically could have had from what I can see. So I'm just wanting to know his thought process in that.
Laura, if I could ask a follow-up question to you, were you already told by others that they were voting for you, like straight up at all? Like what was the
I
setting to that
I
prior to?
wasn't told. I had a gut feeling that
Okay.
I was leaving. And then like right before tribal, I know Minor gave me a heads up, I don't think I think it's gonna be you. Bryant's not saying where he's voting, and then it ended up being everyone on me. But like I'm just questioning why Bryant felt the need to tell me an hour before tribal while I'm at work and not even able to do anything because I got home from work literally in time to be voted out. So I'm just questioning what I could have done to what the purpose was.
Okay.
Can I add something?
Go ahead.
If if you don't mind, just something quick. I will say I fully believe in not giving away that you're targeting someone. Last season, I went out of my way to play until the very last second, be it for me to defend Bryant because every it is jury management. But I do think there is danger in giving someone the information that you're voting them because that means you feel confident that the numbers are there. I think last season in any org 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, it could be enough time to change shit on its head. If you go and say, "Hey, Bryant told me he's voting me," so that means so you're allies with him. Are you voting him? That could make him look real shady, and people are looking for all the reasons to get someone out of this game. I do think there is benefit. Yes, it sucks on a jury management perspective, but I think in the game, giving someone that ammo that they're probably going means that they can go balls to the wall and try anything and everything. And sometimes it works. So I do think on one end of that, I do think there is reason to do it. Do I think it's smart for a jury management? No, it isn't. You want people to feel good when they leave to a perspective, but I do think there is danger too on that.
Can I
I can
have
see that perspective.
someone advocate for Jesse's social game now? 'Cause oh okay, okay. Yeah, because
Perfect.
I feel like I understand Brian's social game now and his deficits. I want to speak more on Jesse. I think we had a really good social bond in the short time that we had, and I definitely would have had a bond with her at Merge if I made it. But and she was always sweet, always the one to message me first. So tell me y'all's experiences.
Before y'all
Okay.
continue, Evan, great minds think alike. I know who I'm pushing for next roundtable.
I'm writing that down. I'm writing that down. But I think I will start first on Jesse. I think everyone has kind of heard across the board what my like general social game with Jesse has been like we started OG very early on. But it kind of didn't go anywhere after that. There was one time I did get in a VC with Jesse. And I was like, look, like no matter how last round was or this round or what have you, I'm looking here to be like my mind frame when it comes to holding on to anything is very short term because I think it's very illogical for you to hold on to that for too long unless it like definitely will not benefit your game. And with something so early on as like maybe a vote that didn't go our way, or maybe we didn't communicate that time around. That can all be flipped around by the time the latter game, if we can show enough trust. I had laid that all out on the floor, and I still felt like I got nothing throughout the entirety of the game to where it did not motivate me to want to continue to try because I continued to feel the same energy, the same presence. What I am interested to hear from Jesse about is with the relationships that she did keep from like for herself because obviously she made it here for a fucking reason. I want to hear from her perspective if that was her intent, and if so, what were the things maybe aside from like a Mike because we are very aware of her relationship with Mike, how that influenced her game and what she was able to do in order to make moves for herself instead of just having the perception of oh, I don't get much from Jesse because that's most of what I heard from my perspective of the game compared to what I am grateful to hear now.
I can add a little bit about Jesse. Jesse and I connected very well, Merge. She's also the reason how I knew I was being voted out that night because I got nothing from her, and I got a lot from her to nothing. So that right there is what told me that she was done with me. She no longer needed me. I was out of the picture. Move on. She was done. When we were talking, we were working very well together, and I know Sean can attest to that as well. We were doing strategy talking. We were on calls for over an hour talking about what moves would be best for the both of us, and we it was a great relationship that I formed with her. I feel like she did a good job from where she was from the beginning. From what I've heard, her name was out from the beginning of the game all the way through until where she is now. So she was able to use that and the quote unquote I can't say this word, rivalry with Tyler to kind of insulate her in with these people, including me, including Sean, including Brian, including the people she needed to get where she is at this point. So I think that was a very good point that you mentioned, Benji, because I was so close to her in that merge part, I was able to see her kind of go through it a little bit more than a lot of other people were. So like,
And Tyler, I know you want to speak. Give me just like 1 second, and then I'll let you through. I just want to disclaim as well. I think I had frustration because I had to. That's my main relationship with Jesse from start to finish. However, I will say, in the same way that Brian didn't owe us anything as far as like maybe a vote to tell us or to what have you, like X was mentioning earlier, I also don't expect Jesse to have to like put herself out there if she didn't want to, or um, feel like Jesse owes me anything from the relationship that we had in the game. So that I guess at the end of the day, once I hear it from her, like aside from what I'm getting now, exactly how she did it, I'll be like, okay, period.
yeah, I just wanted
But
to give you a little bit more insight of kind of because I did see a little bit of the game.
Tyler,
Okay,
go ahead.
so I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. I don't call whatever the fuck was between Jesse and I a rivalry. A rivalry is when it's more so like in my perception, it was a lack of a relationship like Benji had with her as well. That to me, I laid it all out pretty much once we swapped on that first OG or not OG, first tribe swap. I laid it all out to her. I was like, look, I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. I'm willing to let us move forward. Like, I have no ill will towards you. Like, I want to see if we can make something happen. And I didn't get diddly squat from that. So from that point on, I'm like, you know what? She doesn't want to work with me. That's fine. I'm not going to lose sleep. I will, whenever she reached out, I said hello. I tried to have conversation. But in terms of gameplay, that's not a rivalry. I feel like with my perception of the two, Bryant, I don't think realizes that he ruffled a lot of our feathers here. He pissed off people. So there's that. My perception from Jesse is she is going to need to literally separate herself as hard as she can from the relationships because she got here because of those, which is good for her. But this whole her and I are a rivalry thing, that is silly in my perspective.
Um, yeah, as someone, I would say I was Jesse's closest person in the game. We talked constantly, like same with Jordan. We had hours of conversation. I had hours of conversation with Jesse like on the daily. Um, with the trio of me, Bryant, and Jesse, me and Jesse were definitely bringing, I remember like three specific rounds, or we were bringing a lot of the information to that chat versus Bryant, who wasn't getting much because he was like the other name that was out there. But yeah, Jesse, although Tyler and Jesse and Benji and Jesse didn't talk as much, I think that she just had there was really no foundation for y'all to even work off of at that point. Not in like it's impossible that you could have. I just think you all were at a point probably where you just, at least on my perspective of how she viewed it, was she felt like you both were closed off to her and she was closed off to you. Like it was like a especially Tyler. She says that you wouldn't reach out to her. So it's kind of like it's going to be a back and forth there on the opinions of y'all's relationship.
And I'll actually respond to that. I never say no to a relationship, even when Jesse and I had generalities, especially with where I felt later in the game that I couldn't get a grip anywhere and I was kind of starting to see things. I'm not going to say no, but again, it is, you know, a little like a smidge disheartening when it's like, okay, what can we do? Nothing. Okay, what can we do? Nothing. So, as much as I understand Jesse's perspective as well going into the later game, um, I think if we had truly like gotten around to it, there's always an open conversation for me. It just we never got to that point.
I
Yeah.
yeah, I was always like I said, literally as soon as we swapped to that first swap tribe, I laid it all out there for her. I opened that door to a whatever relationship could have potentially formed out of it because I knew for the longest time during when we were all on that OG Lou tribe that when my name was coming up, she was one of the ones saying it. And then I asked her about it, and she's like, well, I wasn't saying it. I was just saying it from other people's perceptions. So I'm like, but you're telling me you weren't, but you were. So I get her perception. It's the name of the game. We all have different opinions. But my thing is this is when I have better conversations with the likes of you, Sean, the likes of Jordan, like I'm going to pursue those conversations and pursue it where when I'm getting 1 to 2 word responses, like that's not gonna do it for me, you know?
Yeah. And Tyler sometimes talk like when we would talk, I felt like your approach when you'd be like, I'm laying it all out there. It like kind of off put me, and it definitely off put others. I heard it from like several other people that it was like it kind of felt like being schooled. So maybe that was another reason Jesse was like, I don't really want to pursue this as a game relationship or talk. So I think that was also where her headspace was.
Okay. Like I don't fault you guys for having your opinions. I really like we're all on the jury. They're in the final too. Like we all did stuff to get us eliminated from the game.
No, absolutely. And I'm not faulting your opinion either. I'm just
Yeah, no. And because here's my thing. I knew from perceptions and conversations having from dynamics of when Cam was in the game and to having to adjust without Cam, I had to play the best game as I could. And to me, that was just being as transparent as I could with different dynamics. And if that off put people, that off put people. That's say la vie. You know, like to me, I'm not like I'm just gonna be as 100% transparent. If Jesse can answer my question wholeheartedly tomorrow, I'm not saying my vote's off the table for her, but right now, just basing it off of dynamics and it's a 50-50 for me. So I'm not saying I'm not voting Jesse, but I think it's going to have to take a lot of openness on her end.
Can I say a few things quick? I mentioned this earlier. My relationship with Jesse was I actually enjoyed it. I knew that Jesse had to get on calls and you would get a lot out of her. I actually do think Jesse has a good ability of picking up bullshit, especially when they have allies that are being told their name. Um, Tyler, I think you are very valid for your feelings. But I do think at the same time, from my perspective, you are very vocal about the you and Jesse thing. And I think Jessie kept with her people. She did her thing. And no shade, no tea, but she clapped your ass live night, one shot, and you were out unanimously. She was able to not only win power and keep her allies safe, the people that she socially was connected to, she took out the one guy openly against her and just not feeling her vibe. And I don't know if it was you that mentioned an injury. It might have been, but um, I think you said you went to Sean or somebody that she was working with, essentially, that you wanted her gone, that like you should like her she should go. That's kind of a bad read on your part. That'd be like me going to Benji and saying, "Yo, let's clip Jordan first round on merge. You should get rid of him." Like I don't think it was the best read, but socially, I do think that Jessie put all the time and effort into the right people. She won an important HOH, and she continued from there. And I think another point that we should mention is we keep praising Brian for winning challenges and doing what he needs to do, and respect to him. But Brian, without the rock advantage, was out of the game. Please tell me what rounds Jesse was legitimately out of the game, because I think Bryant bounced back from that really well. But where was Jesse vulnerable
Can
in the
I
game?
ask if Jesse was ever like the potential to be voted out?
Thank you.
On
That's what
honestly, I
I was
don't think
Yeah,
so.
that's what I was gonna say.
yeah.
So like me and Jesse's relationship grew from the second swap into merge, where we were working together, but we weren't part of each other's alliances. We had each other's backs. Like if our names were said, we would tell each other, and we would keep our names out of our alliances' mouths. So like I think X mentioned it that when Sean and Bryant were safe, like Jesse didn't get like targeted. I was the main person. Like let's just do Mike. I would not let Jesse's name be out there.
And I witnessed that. I brought Jesse's name to minor before, and he was like, well, let's think about Mike. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
So
I
that's
feel
what like. Oh, go ahead.
and I feel like Jesse was just directed a different way. If she didn't want to talk to you, she didn't talk to you. That's the thing. If she wanted to talk to you, she talked to you. That's and like I said in the beginning, like when I was I was on her list of she knew I was leaving, she didn't want to talk to me. Like, um, but yeah, her name
Mhm.
always floated. It always floated around. It wasn't ever solidified, but it was always floated, but it was always paired to Mike.
I
Yeah.
feel like her name was probably an easier name to float because it seemed like she had less of like it would be less of an impact if you said like one of a bigger player's name maybe. But I feel like especially towards the final couple tribal councils, I when I was watching, I don't really know if she even was going to be voted out. By the way that I feel like some of the bigger names in the game were starting to go after each other because they don't want to be in that final two spot next to like bigger competition than them. But did Jesse's name ever come up in any of that, like final couple tribals?
I mean, I wasn't there.
No.
No, it was pretty much Miner's name, my name, and Mike's name because Bryant
Max.
kept winning
Oh,
fucking immunity.
yeah.
Good for him though. But
Yeah, Jesse was the one that I kept going to try and save myself. um, and then she was also one of the reasons why I got close with Sean, like a little bit more. Like me and Sean talked, but with Jesse, trusted Sean. So like that boosted my. So that's how like us three became a thing. Um, and yeah, I think Jesse played a more like under the radar with like her social, and then the people she had like Tyler, Benji, she used that as like a shield, as of like these are the people I'm going after. So like with me with Jordan, was able to make the bonds from there because they're like, I'm not coming after you, I have these two people I'm going after.
yeah, I think she recovered so well, her social game did in the like the first swap to the merge. Like on original Lou, I think Jesse was not the best socially. Like that's where I heard most. Like Jesse's not talking to me, but then those comments kind of stopped later on. I mean, Benji, Tyler, obviously they were coming from y'all, but I guess that was just like running off from the original Lou dynamics, which I'm still confused by.
I will
Absolutely.
also I'll add on real quick. Like even after a few rounds, like my prerogative wasn't with Jesse anymore. Regardless if it was just like I know she ain't going anywhere at this point because if I floated her 3 times and she ain't down the river yet, then like maybe I need to switch up the tactic. Plus, I think I still had hope of like, okay, where can we actually go from this? Like I'm not gonna say no, but
I
like
can I can confirm Benji the amount of the couple of calls that we have had where we were like, what? Like he was like, what to do? Not that's not Jesse. So I can confirm he did float those ideas out there, but yeah.
I just want to say this too. I think it's impressive on Jesse's end that they did bounce back from everything. I actually think Jesse's end game was much stronger than Bryant's, in my personal opinion. Let's look at this from a strategic standpoint. I know that's probably the next thing we're going into, but I want to look at this. She had Sean taking her to the end of the game. Bryant did take her to the end of the game. Mike was like obsessed with not going against anything Jesse related. Miner himself has said he's continuously made pitches to Jesse to
Yeah.
Jesse. Jesse had all these people wanting Jesse at the end. Jesse was chilling. They didn't need immunity wins. Versus like I feel like Bryant, he did bounce back really well from being heavily targeted at Final 10, but like I don't think he set himself up in game. It was almost critical he won some challenges, and I think
mhm,
me personally, respect to him. I'm not good at challenges. And maybe half the reason why I respect someone who can socially maneuver themselves to the end more than win themselves to the end.
Mhm.
Um, I do think it was very critical he won final through immunity because obviously Sean, I've seen said he was taking him out. So like respect on that end, but it just I think it balances Jesse more positively that they had so many people willing to go for them. And I actually think it gives Jesse more in-game power because people are coming to them saying, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. It's not her. I think that socially just it's brilliant.
and I'd like to
Quickly
add on
before
to
anyone
that.
responds, Laura is about to leave, so I quickly wanted to ask Laura, do you have any final words, if you can, before you head off? Like, is there anything you want to say, before you have to go?
Not really. Just that I'm open to whatever ends up happening. My vote's very much in up in the air based on how they perform in Final Tribal, honestly. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here, and we'll see you later.
Yep. Bye.
Again, to add on to X's comment as well, I think it also speaks to Jesse in the sense of like, again, the perception of making great moves behind the scenes while also continuing to have that perception of like, why wouldn't you take Jesse to the end? Jesse's a go. And I think a similar statement was also tacked on to Mike for a little while because both of them on paper and from what was being tossed around, if you weren't in on the know, was that they gave you either a little or nothing at all. So why wouldn't you take them to the end if they can't speak their piece? So again, props to that.
Now, before other people have to leave, I think we've kind of talked generally about the social games. So let's head into the strategic games. What moves were made? What do you think were things that they were crucially responsible for? How did they pull these things off, etc.? If anyone wants to begin, go ahead.
One of the things I'll say about I haven't spoken about Brian much, so I'll go in with about Brian. Brian, from day one for me, OG Sevilla, we were locked in from day one, and he built that bond, and he was able to use that bond that we had and brought that back when it was merge. He buttered me up like nobody's buttered me up before about like you survived all those tribals, you did all that stuff. And I was like, you know what, thank you, Brian. But I also feel like he had a more outspoken, flashy game, but he also did a lot under the radar as well at the same time. Um, like like now that I'm kind of like after I got voted out, I kind of look back and I was like, oh, that's why he was so adamant about putting me and Sean in a group with him because he wanted like to make sure he had all of his bases covered. And he was doing that with other people to make sure he had at least one person in every group so he knew what stuff was coming to him. He also, to me, was very good at, he brought information to me. Like info, like he was always the one that brought information to me, and I was able to use that information to compare notes. So I feel like he was getting information somehow, and he was kind of low key about how that was happening to kind of keep him continuing to be under the radar, knowing he had to use that rock. He has been voted for, he would have been out. So I feel like that end game was kind of pushed it under the radar a little bit more versus when he had to do all those moves. So I feel like Bryant was very strategic at what he knew he had to be loud about and what he knew he couldn't be loud about.
I'll go next. I feel horrible because I'm early jury and I didn't get to strategize with Bryant like at all. So I'm not going to speak negatively or positively on Bryant on that end. I think a lot more of you had his ear and his loyalty more than anything I could have perceived. Um, but I will say strategically, I love strategy in Survivor. It's my favorite thing. It's what I enjoy. Even if I'm fucking horribly wrong, I enjoy it. Um, the purpose of being strategic is to set yourself up to get to the end. And if you can set yourself up to get to the end, that's perfect. But if you have to set yourself up to win challenges, probably not, probably means you didn't strategize the best. And I also think strategically you have to be very savvy with how you make your moves. I can't speak again on Bryant. I don't know if he was savvy or not. I definitely would like to hear more on that. Um, but I know from my perspective that I fucked with Jesse hard, and I was excited to meet someone like a Sean. But I feel like strategically she was able to build that bridge between us because it seemed like Sean was very excited, especially when Jesse was involved. That made me trust someone like a Sean. Like I think that is smart for her. And I will mention this too. Here's another thing I would like to mention, and then I'll shut the fuck up because that's all I got to say. Jordan had the jury talk advantage that I gave him. He talked to me and he mentioned something that I disagreed with. He said that he trusted the Sean and Bryant final three that he wanted to have. I thought that was dumb, but he trusted it, he respected it, and I was like, "That's my bestie. Do you?" But from my perspective, if I'm Bryant and I have this final three with a Sean and a Jesse, and I have a final three with Sean and Jordan, I'm not cutting either of them. I'm not doing it. I'm going after a minor. Uh, or somebody just to open my game up. I feel like he put himself in a very tough situation with how minor one immunity and cutting Jordan. Like I think he put himself in such a rigid spot, and strategically, I think Jesse didn't. Um, just from my perspective and what I've heard, but for those of you who've worked with Brian, I'm excited to hear because I have nothing.
I guess I'll add on to that for a touch. I think that there was quite a bit of buzz in regard to like the amount of alliances that were able to be created or Bryant was acclimated to where I do slightly agree that he put himself into a box. It's a box that worked. First off, let's get that straight. But I think with as far as being more open with the amount of ammo that he had with others, I think he definitely lessened himself on that. I think something that I wanted to kind of mirror was to be able to see those reflecting two sides and choose where I went throughout the game in that sense. And I think because I think someone had mentioned Bryant also had ruffled feathers. To what extent I'm not fully aware of. But I think um, just as far as that, I think as far as being a little more open, and I know it's very hard within a Survivor game to really give your all, but and for the people that he really succeeded in that. But I think there definitely could have been a tinge more openness to where I think he might have been able to speak more on the way multiple ways that he captured multiple relationships, unless I hear things differently. Um, that would definitely, I think, open up and flourish his game a little bit more.
Oh, he definitely ruffled my feathers, but I don't hold that against voting at the end of the game. Like I was not happy that night, but I respect what has to be done. So at the end of the day, that doesn't it comes down to who we're not getting to that question yet. Never mind. I'll wait.
So
Yes.
sorry about that, Jordan.
You're good. You're good. You're here too, so we share the loss together. So
We do. I will say sorry, Minor, real quickly. Strategically, I had like a lot of strategy talks with both of them. So it's kind of equal to me with the strategy. I will say with the Jordan vote out, Jesse and I talked. Jordan, you know that the night where you and I were drunk on call, like the night before you got voted out, I had literally just talked to Jesse, and we both were like, "This is the chance to take Jordan out." And then I like called Brian the next day to loop him in, and I think he and Jesse had talked that morning where Brian was like, "Let's go for Jordan." So it was like all three of us were on the same page at that.
I'm
So I
honored.
don't I don't know if like people were saying like that's Bryant's move, but it was very much like a collaborative thing. I don't think it was anyone's like brainchild. We all were kind of like Jordan's got to go.
Or stay, but you know.
Or
Preferably, there's one of those options.
Well, for me, I think Jesse was more open game wise, like strategy and working versus Bryant. And I think just with how the people like the elimination order, I think like Tyler going, Benji going benefited Jesse more than Bryant with taking out Jordan helped Jesse out more to solidify more with Bryant and Sean, like towards like the end, like being more controlled in the end game. Um, Whereas like she still had me wanting to work with her and take her to the final three, versus like I was safe that round, but taking out like Jordan instead of like Bryant, where I suggested to Jesse, um, just the way that people felt, it seemed like it was setting Jesse up more to make it to the final two versus Bryant, where if he didn't win immunity, he had me going after him. Where the other two could have like decided, oh, do we take out Bryant now or not?
I will also say within the voting block of like me, Jordan, Jesse, Bryant, Mike, we would walk around like, is Jesse going to be down to do this? Because like Miner's name was said for 2 rounds, and she was like, no, let's not do like I want to do Tyler here. I want to do Laura here. Like people were putting a lot of like weight on what Jesse wanted to do in those situations. I'd say like we literally were like, let's do this for Jesse, which is why I don't know, but it like she literally had me doing stuff like that.
And she had me second guessing, like, well, let's check with Jesse on this. Like, let's make sure
Yeah,
Jesse's involved. Like,
Let's maybe also discuss like the full moves. Obviously, insulating yourself, getting to the end. Alliances are an important strategy game, but are there any specific moves that come to mind that Brian or Jesse have done?
can we take away Brian's rock? Eliminate that completely from the game. What has he done this game that would be I don't know. I feel like I can give more arguments to Jesse, and my answers may be answered tomorrow. But yeah, I guess that's another question that I have for you guys because I don't know. Take away his rock, I don't know.
I think I agree with that in the sense of like I've heard a lot of what Jesse has done, and as far as like any strategic speaking points for Bryant, it's still a bit of a question mark for me. So again, I'm also in the same boat of Jordan of like I am waiting and definitely ready to hear what Brian has to say as far as the strategic aspect. But if there were any clear game moves as of right now that we could say, oh, that was 100% Brian, at least to my knowledge, I also don't have many. And let's also accredit the fact that Jordan was in there longer with Brian than even I was.
Like I got more from that's true. Like Sean, I got more from you, and I got more from Jesse, and Brian was just kind of there.
I'm. Oh, you can go, Miner.
I was just gonna ask you, Sean, because you said you were gonna take me up on my deal. Did Jesse switch you back?
She did.
Okay,
She
so
did. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. That I think my deal benefited you more
it
than
did.
Jesse. Um, so I think her move is like I was able to convince Sean to take my deal. Um, so it was Jesse to flip it back. So I think
Yeah,
I'm Jesse's like one of her moves.
yeah, that was definitely my biggest mistake because the boot order, like you said, benefiting Jesse, it was really like it was lined up so well for me until we voted you out, and I was like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, it was Jesse who flipped me back. Um,
Yeah.
Are you sure it
but
was
I'm
good
curious.
until you got voted out, Sean?
I was like, this is great. But I am very curious to see what they're going to claim was their, because I'm assuming someone's going to ask about their moves they made. I'm very curious to see what they're claiming is their own. Because our three games were truly so intertwined, especially mine and Jesse's. But just Jesse, clearly we talked. She actually has done a lot more. I'd say that we are aware of. Bryant has been strategic though. I can't say he hasn't. He's obviously done things, but he has had like the protection of not being a name that can be thrown out.
And to kind of give Brian, like, he had his back against the wall the minute he got saved from that rock. So he probably went in it with knowing like he had to do whatever he could to get to where he is now, which is something Jesse didn't have to do. So Jesse had the comfort of knowing that they may not be a target, whereas Brian was like, I'm a target every round. I gotta make sure I'm surviving. And
Yeah,
that's something completely different than the two perspectives too. So there's that as well.
But it also adds to like Brian knowing he was against the wall a little bit, but I think he sent it to, well, to me at least, he sent, after you were voted off, Jordan, he sent me a GIF like mocking that I tried to go after him, but it didn't work.
Hmm.
Oh, like that's just like I understand like it's like the move and stuff, but it's just how
No, yeah,
you
I get
manage afterwards. Like that, like you're okay to feel like proud that you made a move, but not like gloat to the one person who was in the minority.
I
I see
also
that as
not.
well.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Minor. I assume you're probably going to ask Bryant about that at some point tomorrow, even if it's after the votes are read. But Bryant was kind of just like he's a little shady. Like he likes a little jab here and there. I don't know if it was coming from that type of place, but I mean,
Yeah, like I don't know either. Like that's why I'm not
I
like
mean, have you seen me? I gloat about taking me out too.
I'm not like, oh, that I'm not gonna vote for Brian just because of that. But it was just the intent is like I don't know, but it could be perceived as that. Um, so that's also
I
be like awareness. Yeah.
yeah, and especially with he was trying to rebuild a connection with you or have something because you both clearly wanted the other out. So yeah, that probably wasn't the smartest move
Yeah,
on his
that was
part
also very clear with me too. I was like, okay.
to.
I would like to mention one thing. I do get where Jordan's coming from, like taking the rock out, and this is gonna sound very arrogant, I think, but I think it was a very big move that I was essentially removed from the game because I was a part of a lot of social dynamics with people, and I do think he did heavily benefit from that. I
Yep.
think him winning immunity the following round gave him that extra bit of little life he needed to edge in. And from there, he did have a lot more doors open to him, at least, whether he was clearly opening them or not. I think it did help him socially and strategic. Whether he maximized what he could do with that, I'm not sure. I wasn't there after that. But I do think me getting single handedly removed from the game did change a lot of the dynamics that he might have been facing. Because from my perspective, when people would come into jury, it seemed like people had more to say about Brian. Like the whole narrative went from Brian's got to go, Brian cannot be in the game to, oh well, Brian was talking to me, Brian was wanting a game with me. Like I do think he had more roads open. So I do think that's a positive, regardless of him not being able to dictate who left. And I do think the game looks completely different if he loses a Sean or Jesse that round. Um, so I
Um,
think, I do think that's a positive point to mention.
I
I
mean, we
do
can make it.
agree. Oh, go ahead, Jordan.
I was like, we can make an argument about that rock round taking anybody out would have opened up any doors for Brian. I mean, it was just lucky enough that it was you. Well, not lucky enough for you, but lucky enough for Brian that it was you. Um, But like coming back to something you made earlier, X, is like Brian's had to rely on those immunities. So like winning that immunity is like he had to rely on that immunity. He had to rely on the next immunity. And all that continue like part of being your back up against the wall. Like I feel like that's a strategy he was forced into. He didn't have a choice, he had to do it. Versus if he had a little more wiggle room, I feel like his game would be like Jesse's with the comp wins.
I think I will add slash argue to that. First, for X's point, I do agree that it's a positive to his game, but I feel like it's more of, as we're talking about strategy, it's more of a social point than it is a strategic point. If we were to take away the fact that he was clued in, did Bryant have the strategic wherewithal to be like, anyone can go at any time? I'm just going to play this for the sake of my safety. Secondly, as far as because I remember that was Jordan. I'm having like brain fart moment. Can you just repeat on what you said really quick? Because there is an importance to it.
You expect me to repeat that?
Yes. Um,
More of like I guess I mentioned like Bryant was forced into the strategy he had to
thank
do.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would kind of slightly counter argue to where again I've had heard and have been in smaller alliances with Bryant. I don't necessarily. I think Bryant is just equally as capable to bounce back from a social standpoint as well as Jesse. Is it the point he had to take? In my opinion, maybe not. But it is the route that he chose, or at least was given the path of least resistance for him. So why not take that?
Yeah, because
I
I feel
quickly
like
want to hear something from Evan as well because I've not heard much from him lately. So if you can give your insight as well.
I'm honestly just absorbing this all in because a lot of this is merge chat and like what's going down, so I'm kind of getting filled in on everything. Um I I wonder if Bryant would have gone at final. Did he win final five immunity?
yeah,
I wonder if Bryant would have been voted out if he lost the final five or the final four immunity.
well, that's Sean. You said maybe, right? For five?
It would have been heavily, definitely Final Four. I probably would have voted him. Final Five, there was. I can't say I would have 100% at Final Five, but it would have been something I would consider because I wasn't sure if you would cut me. Obviously, he did cut me at Final Three, but I was less sure of you, and I don't. It would have been up in the air, if I'm
Yeah.
honest.
For my final three, it was you and Jesse. And I, with my game, I don't know. I think I could have been Jesse, but I would have taken you.
I think you would have beat either of us. But
I voted wrong every
yeah.
single time. um,
Yeah.
but I was going to mention for Bryant, where that strategy, like with the rock and like being safe and then being safe with immunity the following round, his strategy of cutting like me, Laura, Tyler, Benji, like with strategy talks, I think he make himself stuck to that four instead of what you and Jesse did was you got with like me, you got with Jordan, um, maybe with Laura. I think Jesse had a great call with Laura, where she went from wanting Jesse out to wanting hardcore Mike. Um, yeah, so like you guys build that bond
Hmm.
where Brian decided, oh, I'm gonna close that door off. Just say I'm open, not open, and then just stick with that four.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go sneak downstairs. I have to eat dinner. But I will say my last piece. Um, I feel like in our jury chats, the last couple rounds, we were really considering like a large group of people, and I feel like Mike obviously was not one of those people, and Jesse was probably the second lowest on people's list of um a potential winner. I think that I got so much information on Jesse's game today, and I am seeing her game in a much different standpoint. Same with Bryant. I feel like I may have overestimated just a little bit. Um, Bryant's potential to win. I feel like it's now very even out for me. I just want all of us to, whatever we discussed here, hold them accountable and have them answer to that, because I still am very open on who I'm voting. Like, I now need to see them back up what we've talked about for them. So I will see all of y'all tomorrow, and everybody have a good night.
Thank you so much for
Nice.
being here, Evan.
Of
Bye.
course. Bye-bye.
I think that is also the perfect way to segue into the final part because we have been talking for an hour and a half, and I feel like you guys want your evening. I want my sleep. What is the thing you guys really need to hear from them to earn, for them to earn your vote? Like, what do they have to own up to? What do they need to do to be able for you to have, for you to cast their vote for them to win? And I'll just go in order on my screen here because I feel like that's the best way to do this. So Sean, I'll begin with you.
I need awareness from both of them of like what they actually did versus like because we're obviously over here dissecting every little part of their games. I want them to also have done the same and realize, oh, I did actually do this, and maybe also just admit to any mistakes that they've made as well.
Alrighty. Minor.
Um, for Brian, I think more like accountability of like just the way like maneuvered, and then just how they did socially. Um, Jesse owning of being open for that final five vote of voting for Mike, and then deciding not to. I think that's like the one thing that will maybe she'll get with my vote is like being like, yeah, I was open, but at the end of the day, I decided to do this and then cut you. And it's just them owning their shit. Like they played the game, they played it well. Be confident in their game. Don't like shy away with when the jury's asking questions.
Alrighty. X.
I guess for Bryant, I just want him to be able to own how he was throughout the game, kind of explain why he was maybe a bit more guarded with people and how his philosophy of I have an open door when that shit was locked tighter than Tartarus from Percy Jackson. Like I'd like a little bit of that. From Jesse, we have talked so heavily and positively about Jesse. I want to know, kind of like what Sean said, the awareness. I want to know if Jesse's aware that they were doing good, or if Jesse just kind of fell in these positions because of they had good people and it just was working itself out, or if Jesse's truly is aware of that. Because I think there's a difference between playing a good game actively or just falling ass backward into it and it just kind of worked out. Because it does happen, but I need to know if she's aware of that. So I think for me, that's kind of where I would like to be with both of them, but they both have an honest opportunity for my vote. It's really so close.
Okay, Jordan, up to you.
So I feel like I'm very open. My biggest thing is I want them to be very like kind of echoing what Miner said. Like they got to the final two. They got there. All of us didn't. And I want them to be confident in their answers and confident in what they did to get to the final two. And I'm going to look at that. I want them to own their game. But I'm really going to look into kind of who encompasses like season 14, like who was strategic, who was social, who was competitive, who deserves their final crown. My vote is I have a way I'm leaning, but I have my vote's open 100%. It all depends on how they answer the questions and how they own their game and how they explain what we don't know.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, Benji.
It's going to be two things for me. I think I'm going to echo the first thing of intent and self-awareness. What were you aware of as far as your own game, as far as where you lacked with that specific individual. Help explain why it was seen like this when you were really doing this. Because I am looking for an all-rounded, well-rounded player. Um, and then the second thing I'm going to ask for is fight and eloquence. I think if you're able to speak your game well, then there isn't much else to be said. You were aware of what you were doing. You did it. This is how you wanted to execute it. If you didn't execute it, what did you do to pivot from that? And I think that also shows a confidence in the game that they played. I want a knock down, kick ass, drag out, scratch them till they go down, fight. Because at the end of the day, there's going to be one winner. If you see where you played better than them, drag them. If you like, if there are things that you were also aware of your partner, that's or the your finalist sitting next to you, just to show like exactly the full range, because no one else knows the games that we all played except for us. Only us have been in our brains 100% of the time. I want that plus the grit and the heart I know they're going to bring, because it's going to be fantastic. I think both of these people, for different reasons, have brought out and really exemplified um, what this season offers. Although Jesse is considered a newbie, for those of you that do or do not know, for the first five, six, actually, no, first 7 seasons, I believe, Jesse was on prod. Jesse is a part of that before. Um, and potentially her game could show where the beyond is. With Bryant exemplifies more of the beyond, where it's like this specific era of the game coming in fresh and really being able to take the game for what it is and ride it out to where all of us wish we could be. Right now, I will say, with the information that I am downloading and being as open and transparent as possible, I'm now leaning one way more than another in a way I didn't originally think. So this is going to be interesting.
Well, I will take that as the final speech here. First of all, thank you all for being here. It was awesome to hear you guys talk. I think it's very, very much open what could happen tomorrow and who could win. As a reminder, put in those pre-votes. I'm doing it for production because I don't know who's here right now. So put in your pre-vote on who you're already thinking of voting. If you cannot be there, hopefully, you guys can be there to send your questions. It's always one of the most fun parts. And if you were there last season, you could see John showering while doing his question. So, hey, if you want to be original, go ahead. But once again, thank you so much for being here. It was really interesting seeing you guys. And I know, I think, Joey, that you're going to take this series. So, love all of you.
Okay. First of all, just to say, V, thank you so much for hosting. This was a really nice discussion. I was happy I didn't have to step in for anything at all. Like, thank goodness for that. Y'all were amazing. Yeah, like V did it for me, but I will say it again because I was planning on saying it. Um, our policy for distortion is that after every roundtable, a pre-vote needs to be submitted. In the event that for some reason some emergency happens, or you fall asleep, something, and you are not at FTC, we need to be able to have something so we can have a vote locked in, so we could have, by the time it comes to that, we will have a vote from you. So please make sure those pre-votes are submitted, and you're able to change them up as much as you want until Seb calls the final votes for tomorrow night. So with that, thank you guys so much for this roundtable. It was amazing. And yeah, thank you so much again, V. And we will see who will be winning